18:91, the official time for lap number 2 for the number 4 of George Brunhosel.
At Indianapolis, Danny Sullivan, the leader after 90 laps. Jim Crawford is second. And in third, Al Unser Jr. If you missed it, Dale Earnhardt penalized 5 laps at Charlotte for knocking Jeff Bodine out of the race. The leader at Charlotte is Brett Bodine. Time trials back underway here at the Oswego Speedway. The modified time trialers winding down to just a precious few. Starter Bruce Lee. Green flag as he comes down the front straight. On the clock, the TJ Toyota. Car number 69, the defending Oswego Speedway modified track champion from Ballston Spa, New York, Brian Ross. Ross is on lap number 1. He will drive a team car with Kenny Schrader coming up in August here at Oswego. 18:879, the first lap for Ross. Gets a little bit crossed up down here in the first turn. Flyin Brian on the clocks in the third turn. Brian Ross, the number 69, coming down to complete his second lap. Checkered flag is out. Ross breaks the eye at 18:825. 1:8.825 for Brian Ross. 69, Brian Ross. Ross in the 69. Outside in row number 3, it's the number 11. From Troy, Pennsylvania, Rod Spalding. The car we talked about destroyed at Jennerstown a couple of weeks ago. Spalding in the number 11. Fourth row on the inside. It's the number 36. From West Hempstead, Long Island, New York, Mike Uwanitzko. Uwanitzko in the number 36. Starts inside in row number 4. Outside, it's the 66. Second generation driver, Kenny Troyer. Troyer in the number 66 from Gasport, New York. And the fifth row on the inside, the number 14, he won last night at Lancaster, Bill Carey. Bill Carey from Buffalo in the Sorrento Cheese, number 14. And on the outside, the 17 of Tim Mangan. Rick Fuller on the pole, the 12 of Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin on the outside. Quite a few awards and other things to be presented during the intermission today. Your lucky numbers will be called off. We've got some Old Man Engineering certificates. We'll go to various people tonight. All kinds of Castle Chemical car care kits to give away, including some to some lucky people out in the parking lot. The lucky numbers will tell you how to sponsor a lap for the Oswego Speedway International Classic. That'll all come up right after this heat. We'll be taking a break. The concession stands are open. If you want to get a jump on the crowd, head down now. As the field comes down to take the white flag, the U2 Rick Fuller, the 12 of Mike McLaughlin, 95 Lee Sherwood, 48 Wayne Edwards, 69 Brian Ross, 11 of Rod Spalding, 36 Mike Uwanitzko, 66 Kenny Troyer, the 14 of Bill Carey. Also out there, the 82 of Larry Nye, and the 17 of Tim Mangus. That's the field the pace car is in. They go slowly down into the first corner. The lead row setting the pace, U2 Rick Fuller, the 12 of Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin. Starter Bruce Lee looks him over. They come barreling off the corner. Green flag is out, jumping off the pole. U2 of Fuller, McLaughlin staying with him on the outside. Wayne Edwards moves quickly off the outside of row number 2, gets in behind the 12 of McLaughlin. The front 3, here comes Brian Ross. Ross makes a move on the outside, he takes over fourth. Ross runs like a bear here at the Oswego Speedway. Is one of the few not afraid to run the high groove. He goes out there again, looks to the outside of Wayne Edwards. Rick Fuller in front, Mike McLaughlin second, in third. Wayne Edwards, but on the outside, Brian Ross in the 69. Ross now looks on the outside as Mike McLaughlin looks down low. McLaughlin has to back out in the corner. Rick Fuller holds the lead. McLaughlin running second. 48 Wayne Edwards is third. 69 Brian Ross runs in fourth. The 95, Lee Sherwood, hangs on to 5th. And the 6th and last qualifier right now, the 11 of Rod Spaulding. But here comes the 66 of Kenny Troyer. He tries to get a wheel underneath Spaulding down into the first turn. Spaulding on the outside, outguns him off the corner. He retakes 6th. This Troyer not quite able to get through. Mike Umanitsko back out of a qualifying spot as well as they come down the front straight. Ross looking low under the 48 of Edwards, has to back out. Edwards taking up a lot of track, going down into the corner. Year later, the U2 of Rick Fuller. In second, the 12 of Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin. The stump jumper, 48, Wayne Edwards is third. And in fourth, the 69 of Brian Ross. They run bumper to bumper. Lee Sherwood just a tad off the pace in fifth. And the battle is for sixth. With the 11 of Rod Spaulding, the 88, Kenny Troyer, 36, Mike Umanitsko, and the 4 of Bill Carey, 14 of Carey, all running bumper to bumper, going for that last qualifying spot. Fuller, 6 down, 6 to go. He came off the pole. The pole sitter won the first 3 heats. Out in front here in heat number 4 for the NASCAR Modifieds. Mike McLaughlin riding in second. Look at Ross trying on the outside again. He's trying to get by the 48 of Wayne Edwards. Edwards and Ross started 4th and 5th. They have moved up to 3rd and 4th as Lee Sherwood drops back into 5th. Other than that, they're exactly the same. 6th place starter Rod Spaulding running 6th right now. Here's Ross again looking on the outside of the 48 of Wayne Edwards. He's got a wheel alongside. Up into the corner. Edwards down low. Brian Ross on the outside. Trying to pin Wayne Edwards. He does, going into the 3rd turn. Brian Ross, the TJ Toyota, number 69, trying to actually make a pass down the front straight on the outside of Wayne Edwards. They stay side by side into the first turn. Edwards low, Ross on the outside. U2, Rick Fuller still leads it. Mike McLaughlin right behind him second. The battle is a dandy for 3rd. Brian Ross now inches ahead of Wayne Edwards. Edwards back on the hammer down the front straight. Ross with 2 to go moves into 3rd. Brian Ross takes over 3rd, the defending Oswego Speedway modified track champion, doing a whale of a job to finally come by on the outside of Wayne Edwards. White flag, 1 more lap to go. Rick Fuller, the race leader. Mike McLaughlin in second. 69, Brian Ross, 48, Wayne Edwards, 95, Lee Sherwood, the 11 of Rod Spaulding. Checkered flag is out. They come down off the corner. Fuller goes wide. But at the wire it is Rick Fuller. McLaughlin in second. Brian Ross third. 4th is Wayne Edwards. 5th, Lee Sherwood. And in 6th, the 11 of Rod Spaulding. They're followed by Kenny Troyer. Drivers, in your cars. Crew members, as soon as they're buckled up, please leave the track. Gentlemen, start your engines. And it looks like they have all fired up, ready to fall into line. A beautiful picture down here for those of you with cameras on the front straight. The 30 of them. It's 100 lap. Richie Evans Memorial Feature Event. And Rich, it's going to be tough to come up with the excitement generated in the Super Modified feature tonight. Only 3 leaders, but a lot of good racing at the front.
I just hope one of these rows doesn't decide to finish this way, because I don't think they'd fit at race speed.
We've seen it done before.
It ain't pretty.
And the field now about ready to take off. We should run a couple 3 laps under the yellow flag before the white is displayed. NASCAR officials telling the cars to take them away. And they will be able to fall into line very quickly. Jan Leedy, Jimmy Spencer, Wayne Anderson, Jeff Fuller, Brian Ross, Tommy Baldwin, Rick Fuller, Mike McLaughlin, George Kent, and Tony Hirschman, the first 10. A beautiful field of modifieds. I'd have to say one of the best fields assembled anywhere this year. 7th, Doug Heveron. 12th, Mike Evanesco. 13th, the first one who's not here today, Jerry Kramer. Ron Shepard, 20th. He is not here today. Jan Leedy, Mike Stefanik, Eddie Flemke. 24, John Mikulski is not here. Rod Spaulding, Bob Park is the 4th car absent. Jimmy Spencer, George Brunholzl, Jay Hedgecock, and Bruce D'Alessandro, neither one here, so 6 out of the day for some great racing action. Carl Pasteryak has gone to the pits. He's ready to come back out in the 75. Down the front straightaway. Fans up on their feet. The field now going through the corners. Coming down the back straightaway. You in the back grandstand. Make some noise up on your feet. Wave your hat, your hands, whatever. The pace car is out of the way. Into the back pit gate entrance. Jan Leedy. Jimmy Spencer in the front row, the 25 and the 24. Wayne Anderson. And the 15, the 21 of Jeff Fuller in row number 2. Brian Ross and Tommy Baldwin, the 69 and the 7 in the 3rd row. Bruce Lee looks him over, picking up the pace. Green flag is out off the corner. Excellent start. Jan Leedy, Jimmy Spencer side by side through the turns. They break away with the 21 of Fuller. Baldwin now moves up to 4th. Brian Ross and Mike McLaughlin side by side in a battle for 5th. Ross does not seem to be doing very well here in the early going. Jimmy Spencer has taken the lead. Spencer out in front. We got a spin. No! Wayne Anderson getting sideways down here in the corner. No, Mike Stefanik sideways in the corner. He's got smoke now coming off the side of the car. Stefanik doing a good job of saving it, but a lot of problems in the early going. Jimmy Spencer out in front. We check out Stefanik. He's got a tire rubbing. Stefanik has a tire rubbing. He is going to get the black flag. 05 Stefanik is going to get the black flag. He's got a Nerf bar rubbing on the right rear tire. Spencer out in front. Spencer, the race leader in the 24. Way outside, Lee Sherwood. And Sherwood brings it around here in turn number 2. Lee Sherwood in the 95, bringing out the yellow flag. 4 laps are completed. And Rich, Brian Ross, who started 5th, got pushed back in a hurry. He's usually quick out of the gun, and this time it looks to be some problems. Maybe stagger, maybe tires, we don't know.
Well, let's hope it comes around for him. He's got no shot if it doesn't. He loves to charge up through the pack on the fast 5/8 of a mile, and unfortunately, he may get the chance if he has any shot at all. The rate he's going right now, already giving up 2 or 3 spots.
From Bruce Lee. As Stefanik comes out of the pits, he better hustle his bunch. He's still got the tire rubbing. Tire is still rubbing on the 05. Smoke coming off the right rear. White flag is out. Pace car will pull in. Jimmy Spencer knows the ropes here at Oswego. He'll be the rabbit on the restart. Track officials looking over the 05. You can see the tire has a groove around it where he's got the rubbing on it. Green flag is out from Bruce Lee, way between 3 and 4. Spencer on it, Jan Leedy running 2nd, Fuller is 3rd. Baldwin runs 4th, McLaughlin is 5th. 6th right now is Tony Hirschman. Hirschman in the number 6 spot, as now the leaders staying closer together than they were on the original start when Spencer, Leedy, and Jeff Fuller started to pull away from the rest of the field. Right now, they've got Tommy Baldwin riding in 4th, Mike McLaughlin 5th, Tony Hirschman 6th, Brian Ross started 5th, he's running 7th, Reggie Ruggiero started 12th, he is up to 8th already. Just 5 laps in, Ruggiero has picked up 4 spots, and he is working on Brian Ross. He was the fastest car in time trials with an 18.425, the first car, the fastest NASCAR modified ever at the Oswego Speedway, Reggie Ruggiero. The Teddy Bear Pools 44. But out in front, it's the Quick Stop Beverage 24 of Jimmy Spencer. Down the front chute, your leaders running pretty much side by side until you get back to Tony Hirschman and Brian Ross. Ross on the outside, trying to retake 6th from Hirschman. Reggie Ruggiero right there with him, pulls to the outside as well. Ross is by Hirschman, retakes 6th. Hirschman down low and trying to hold 7th, but Reggie Ruggiero goes by him. So Brian Ross has the 69 back in the swing of things into the top 6 positions. Jimmy Spencer, the race leader, Jan Leedy riding second. Jeff Fuller is third. Fourth right now, Tommy Baldwin. Fifth is Mike McLaughlin in the number 12. Then comes Brian Ross, Reggie Ruggiero, Tony Hirschman. The U2 of Rick Fuller, George Kent, Tony Jankowiak, and Tom Bolus in that order down the back straight. Then Wayne Anderson. Anderson, who started third, has really dropped back into the pack. He is out of the top 10. Anderson has made the biggest move. Unfortunately for him, it has all been backwards. The biggest move towards the front is Reggie Ruggiero. He started 12th. He's now running 7th. Brian Ross trying to get underneath Mike McLaughlin over between turn 4. McLaughlin on the outside. Ross down low. He takes the measure. 18.8 the lap times for race leader Jimmy Spencer. Spencer about a car length and a half ahead of Jan Leedy in the number 25. Leedy riding in second. Jeff Fuller is third. Down the front straight. 11 laps have now been completed. Your race leader, Spencer, the front 12 cars still staying bunched together. As Spencer grabbed the lead at the spot off the outside pole, Jan Leedy, the pole sitter, fell back into second where he has run since then. Jeff Fuller started 4th. He runs 3rd. Brian Ross, who started 5th, dropped to 7th, has now come back up to 4th, getting by Tommy Baldwin. Baldwin running in 5th in the number 7, but here's Reggie Ruggiero on the outside. Ruggiero comes by to take the spot. Reggie in the Teddy Bear Pools, number 44, has moved from 12th to 5th. Ruggiero certainly on the prowl in the 44. Here's Brian Ross going to the outside of the 21 of Jeff Fuller. Tim Connolly in the 42, getting the once-over from track officials. He's got the leaders coming up on him. Carl Pasteryak just came out of the pits. He is going real slowly down here between the turns. Spencer, Leedy, and the rest of the leaders coming up quickly on Tim Connolly in the Maxwell House number 42. Here's Ross on the outside of the 21 of Jeff Fuller. Ross trying to move up to 3rd. Reggie Ruggiero right there with him. Ross on the outside takes 3rd. Brian Ross, the defending track champion, storms back into 3rd. And he's in behind Jan Leedy. Reggie Ruggiero, following the example of Brian Ross, is on the outside, trying to take over 4th. As your leaders move in on the 42 of Tim Connolly. Connolly gets the passing flag from Bruce Lee. Jeff Fuller staying down low. Tommy Baldwin now going to try him on the outside. Can't do it right away. Baldwin sets back in 5th. Kenny Troyer a little sideways down here in turn 1. Your leaders now coming by Tim Connolly in the 42. Connolly getting the fast shuffle as they go by him. Connolly had started in 27th. Jimmy Spencer in 18.8 on that last lap. Brian Ross looks underneath the 25 of Jan Leedy. Leedy riding in second. Ross right with him. Has passed a few times on the outside. Now looks to the inside. He's got a wheel in there. Bounces it off the inside hub rail. Sets back down in 3rd. Jan Leedy shut the door as Jimmy Spencer is running about 2/10 slower than he was earlier. Spencer still the race leader. He knows how to take up a lot of racetrack. Now Leedy on the inside. Brian Ross goes to the outside. Leedy, a little puff of smoke that time. Brian Ross on the outside takes over 2nd. Leedy falls back to 3rd. Ross stays right on the outside. Up alongside of Jimmy Spencer. Spencer, though, takes him to the outside and hangs on to the lead. Ross moving right back in. Here's Reggie Ruggiero. Ruggiero and Spencer, no love lost between these two. Spencer has the lead, but Ruggiero and Ross side by side behind him. Jimmy Spencer running that middle groove, trying to hold them both off. Here's Ross again to the outside. Leedy now, smoking heavily in the 25. Reggie Ruggiero solidly up underneath the 69 of Ross, but Ross on the hammer in the corner, pulls alongside Spencer. Spencer hangs on to the lead. Ross stays on the outside. Brian Ross, Jimmy Spencer, Reggie Ruggiero, side by side, bumper to bumper, off the corner down the back straight. Spencer trying to hang on to the lead, but Brian Ross just keeps working on him on the outside. They got a couple of slower cars ahead. Brian Ross now has Reggie Ruggiero up underneath him. They get an 18.7. They have picked up the pace a little bit. Ross on the outside. Spencer down low. Reggie stays low as well. Through the corners, moving up ever closer to the two slower cars of Kerry Malone and Carl Pasteryak. Into the first turn. They stay side by side. Brian trying to inch in front, can't do it. Spencer pulls back into the lead. This one is one quarter over. 25 down, 75 to go. Now Brian Ross. Reggie bubbles. Ruggiero bubbled. That gave the 25 of Leedy time to get by. And now Brian Ross goes by Jimmy Spencer. Brian Ross has taken the lead. Spencer riding in second. Jan Leedy goes by Ruggiero to take over third. Ruggiero running fourth. Jeff Fuller is in fifth. Ross out in front. Leedy continues to have that little puff of smoke. Brian Ross running 18.5 on that last lap. Brian Ross is the race leader. 18.5 the last time around. Brian about a straightaway behind the 75 of Carl Pasteryak and the 3 of Kerry Malone. But he is getting away from Jimmy Spencer, and 0.8 of a second lead right now as Brian Ross is turning in the fastest laps of the race. Now Jan Leedy, he's going to try the outside of Spencer. Spencer tries to hold him off. Reggie Ruggiero still stuck in behind Spencer. Leedy on the outside. Reggie down low. Jimmy in the middle trying to hold them both off. Jeff Fuller moving in. Tommy Baldwin closes up, as does Tony Hirschman. 33, Randy Hedger into the pits. Hedger has taken the 33 into the pits. He has not had a good early season at Shangri-La and now runs into problems here. That battle for second. They're 1.5 seconds behind race leader Brian Ross. This is a great battle for the runner-up spot. Jimmy Spencer trying to hang on. Reggie Ruggiero right behind him with Jan Leedy on the outside. Jeff Fuller, Tony Hirschman, Tommy Baldwin have all closed up as well. Mike McLaughlin, George Kent trying to move into the thick of things. Your race leader coming down the front straight to 69. Brian Ross puts another lap on Tim Connolly. Second is the 25 of Leedy. Finally got by Spencer. 24 Spencer runs third. 44 Ruggiero is fourth. 21 Jeff Fuller is fifth. 87 Tony Hirschman now sixth. The 7 of Tommy Baldwin runs seventh. Yellow flag is out up in the third corner. Dave Resendez, the number 79, bringing out the yellow flag. Resendez fires it up quickly out against the outside wall, fires it up, he's ready to go again. Supers also had a caution flag on lap number 33.
What a torrid battle on the point. Spencer, the quick stop 24 from the outside pole. Grab the lead
As he was before. Jimmy Spencer is back on the track in the number 24. So they'll both be restarting from the rear. And keep your eyes on the rear of the field because there is going to be some charging from the back coming up right now. 33 laps have been completed. White flag is out. Rich, you take it.
All right, so Floyd Wallace will pull that pace car in. We've jumbled things up, that's for sure, NASCAR style. And Brian Ross and Reg Ruggiero, the classic shootout on the point with a U2 up, coming, charging as hard as he can. Hirschman 5 in a row in the southern tier. Green is out. One more car dashing out of the pits. That's the Park 81 in front of the leader, Brian Ross. Ruggiero and Hirschman right there. Baldwin trying to hold off Kent and Fuller. Bulls running in 7th spot. Jamie the Jet Tomato, and then Doug Hebron in that order. And look at this, trouble right in front of the leaders. They caution coming out. They go to the line, though. That 81 of Park came out of the pits. He wobbled, he bobbled, he lost it between the corners. He smacked the outside wall, and unfortunately, Ross and Ruggiero were right behind him by that point. caution coming out, and it could have been a disaster. Luckily, the Park 81 able to get out of the way of the leaders.
The problem with the 25, and he is still smoking, Jan Leedy, it is a power steering pump problem. The power steering giving the problem to the number 25. Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace finished in second. That's the Coca-Cola World 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Darrell Waltrip, his first win of the year. Rusty Wallace in second, Rich.
Finally, the Hendrick colors fly from a victory stand. White flag back out for the NASCAR Modifieds. On the point, defending modified champion Brian Ross to set the pace. Reggie Ruggiero will look for an advantage. And they're off. Here's the green. Ross, 4 car lengths right there at the draw. Ross opens it up. Ruggiero, Hirschman, and Baldwin. Kent, Fuller, Bowles, Tomato, Hevron. They are the top 9, and the Flemke Jr. 10, rounding out the top 10. Bruno's trying to break through into the top 10 for the first time. Leedy, who finished second in modified points last year at the Oswego Speedway, is headed back for the pits. Ross bobbles. Ruggiero dives underneath, side by side. Ross out on the high side. Ruggiero's got him out there. He's down low. Lots of power in the Teddy Bear Pools 44. And on lap 36, Ruggiero is scored up front. Ross bobbled. He'll have to earn that spot back if he wants it. After giving it up to Reggie Ruggiero, who'd worked his way up from 12th spot and now takes down the lead. Ross runs second. Hirschman in third. Baldwin and Kent the top 5 with the U2 Fuller car in 6th. Bull 7th. Tomato, Hevron, and Flemke Jr. in the 10 runs 10th. 37 laps now complete as Reggie Ruggiero equals Spencer's fastest lap of the day, 18:44. Ross was just 2 1,000ths quicker, 1 or 2 laps when he was on the point. So pretty much 18:4 is about the order of the day up front so far. 18:42 this last lap. 18:42 now on the point, equaling the fastest lap I've seen today in modified Evans Memorial Feature Competition. 18:42 on the point, and this time at 18:34, fastest lap of the day. 18:34 in race competition, the fastest modified lap. Ross down low again. Ross tried to gobble him up, tried to stay it on a little longer coming into 3, but it was Ruggiero pouring it on in the 44 once more, grabbing back the top spot from Ross. So Ross hopes to find that opening one more time and then make the pass. This time looks to the outside. I don't think he can handle him out there, but time will tell. Ruggiero covers the low groove. Ross looks to the outside. Hirschman looking him over, backs off, gives up 4 or 5 car lengths and says, "Go on, guys, have at it." They turn 18:46 the last lap, up blistering pace on the point. 42 laps complete now, make it 43. 18:33 the last lap for Ruggiero, Ross, and Hirschman. Baldwin and Kent, the top 5. The running order remaining the same in the top 10. We watch the mighty march of the 12 of Mike McLaughlin, and he's coming all the way from the rear after pitting, and right now runs in about 12th spot. McLaughlin 13th on the field right now, comes back through along with Fuller as they lead the charge of those who have pitted. Meanwhile, up front, Ross remains in the wake despite an 18:31 by Ruggiero. The fastest lap of the day. It is Ross right there, still tapping on the doorstep, looks to the outside. Ross got a wheel up there. Ruggiero down low. Ross outside. Still, he's got a wheel up alongside. Halfway up alongside Ruggiero. Brian Ross will try the high side one more time. Solidly out there now. Wheel to wheel. Door handle to door handle. Ross going for it. Ruggiero down low. Ross, Ruggiero. Ross now with the advantage as they go by. Ross has got him by half a car length. Ruggiero still solidly underneath. Wheel to wheel. Ross gets the job done. 47 and a half laps. Ross back up front. Ruggiero back to second now. As it's Ross and Ruggiero. The lead duo, 18:26. Fastest lap of the day, 18:26. Ross passing Ruggiero as we near the halfway mark. Ross starts to pull away. Ruggiero has used up that car to get up there, but Ross again a little bit quicker. Third spot is Hirschman. Baldwin starts to move in on Hirschman now with that number 7. Kent in 5th spot. Rick Fuller's U2 in 6th. Bowles is 7th. Hebron 8th. Tomato remains in 9th spot. Still in 10th. Flemke Jr.'s 10. Brunhosel runs 11th. 12th is the 12 of Mike McLaughlin. Jeff Fuller now has moved up to 13th spot. In 14th position, Ken Woolley in that 40. Yordisco is now 15th in the 36. We take you 15 deep past the halfway mark in this modified NASCAR thriller. The Evans Memorial past the halfway mark. Ross starting to really do some damage, opening up a lead. 18:39 the last lap. The advantage over half a second now as Brian Ross has got that TJ Toyota Perkin up front. Ruggiero trying to stay with him. Has given away 8 car lengths now between the corners. Hirschman, he's got his hands full with Baldwin. Kent right there in 5th spot. Tight battle for 6th with Fuller and Bowles still going at it. 8th is Hebron. 9th is Tomino. And Flemke rounds out the top 10. What a battle for 11th. Brunhosel with Fuller and McLaughlin. Fuller and McLaughlin side by side. And it's McLaughlin up high. Oh, look at the lane change right there by Brunhosel. Fuller tries to scramble underneath him now as they battle 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Tight running now as the leaders also start to move in on traffic. We'll keep our eyes there as well as that battle for 10th through 14th. Up front, the last lap. Blistering again by Ross in the 69 as he moves in on traffic in a hurry. Ruggiero right there with him. 18:40 even in traffic. Ross now bobbles again, right where he did before. And again, Ruggiero right there to try to capitalize. But look at this. Ross tries to pin him behind Troyer. Ross has got him pinned. And one more time, Ross to the outside. Ruggiero back to second. Hirschman, Baldwin, Kent, the top 5. Fuller, Bowles, Hebron, Tomato. And look at this battle heating up with Flemke, Brunhosel, McLaughlin, Fuller. They are all over each other, swapping paint, swapping positions, everything they can do to move into the top 10. Up front, on the point, Brian Ross has bobbled twice. Both times, Ruggiero was right there. Both times, Ross got him back. And right now, Brian starts to open it up yet another time. This time, he's got a 7/10 of a second advantage over Ruggiero. Ross starts to pull away. One more time will be TJ Toyota 69. Ross and Ruggiero running 1-2 as we come up on 70 laps complete. Third is Hirschman. 4th, Baldwin. Kent is 5th. Then it's Fuller, Bowles, and Hebron. Tomato in 9th. 10th now, McLaughlin with 11th spot to Fuller. Flemke back to 12th. Brunhosel, his hands full in a battle there with Spencer as the cars that have come back from the pits with 40 laps to go have got a lot of running to do if they're going to crack beyond the top 10 into the top 5. They're right now a half a lap behind the race leader, they being McLaughlin, Fuller, and Spencer, as they try to battle back from the pits. They badly need a caution flag right here and right now if they're going to move in on the top 6. Up front, on the point, a torrid pace, 18 threes, 4s, and 5s. Ross continuing his dominance. Ross continuing to dominate this portion of the race. His advantage varying 5 to 7, 8/10 of a second. Still moving in on yet more traffic out there as a full field of NASCAR modifieds, 4 dozen of them, gather here at the historic Oswego Oval for this special NASCAR occasion. Hirschman still following the lead duo from third. Baldwin now with Kent on his rear door. Kent runs fifth. Look at the battle now heating up for sixth spot. Sixth is Fuller, but Bulls right there with Hevron. Hevron tries to muscle his way out there to grab that spot away, but nothing doing right now. 65 laps are gone. Just 35 laps remain. Ross, heavy traffic ahead. Ross on the point. Ruggiero still not able to move back on him. Has given away now 8/10 of a second. One of the biggest leads of the day for Brian Ross right now, if not the biggest, as he moves through traffic. Ruggiero trying to keep him in his sights. Ross ever faster, even in traffic. 18.5s now for Ross. What a pace, what momentum. Ross pulling away. Ross on the home straight. Ruggiero now a second and a half behind. Hirschman trying to move in on Ruggiero. Kent has moved past Baldwin. Kent now fourth. Baldwin is fifth. Fuller sixth. He's battling with Bulls and Hevron. That trio, 6th, 7th, and 8th, continue to battle in tight quarters as Tomeno moves right in on him. Tomeno, the 99, and Hevron now side by side. And look at this battle with McLaughlin and Fuller. Everywhere you look, they run tightly, close together, except for Brian Ross. Most of a straightaway advantage. Brian Ross, the 69, has now opened up an advantage of about 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds, over Reggie Ruggiero. He is burying him at this juncture with 30 laps to go.
And Ross continues to run down around the 18.4, 18.5 mark in that TJ Toyota car number 69, but he's got a couple of slower cars ahead. Nearly a full straightaway advantage for Brian Ross, but cars running side by side ahead of him. He moves in. It's the 75 of Pasteryak and the 15 of Anderson running side by side ahead of your race leader. Here is Tony Hirschman. Hirschman now going to work on the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero. Brian Ross to the outside of Wayne Anderson puts a lap on him. Now moves on Pasteryak, who tries to get out of the way as Hirschman comes to the outside of Ruggiero. Reggie Ruggiero trying to hang on to second. Tony Hirschman up in the third, but Ruggiero has a right rear tire going. Reggie Ruggiero has a right rear tire that appears to be going. You can see it really looks blistered as he comes down the corner. We're running now in lap number 75. Jimmy Spencer has gotten by Jeff Fuller. Now working on Mike McLaughlin. Yellow flag is out. His run strong has never really been a factor in the race, but he is right there waiting to take advantage if the opportunity arises. Tommy Baldwin is in fifth.
White flag coming out, and the shootout continues with 25 laps to go. Roy Silva will wrap this one up in the next 25 laps. Can Brian Ross hold him off the rest of the way?
Well, it remains to be seen. He certainly got a break here with giving his tires a chance to cool off. Ross has been running some torrid laps. We've had him down into 18.3s and 18.26. The fastest green flag is back out. Ross on it quickly. Look at Hirschman right up quickly, trying to move back in on the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero. His Pasteryak just got out of the way, said, have at it, leaders. I'm not going to bother you. Down the back straight. Reggie trying to move in on the 69. The 3, Ken Woolley going into the pit area. Brian Ross still out in front. Reggie Ruggiero rides in second. Tony Hirschman third. George Kent fourth. Tommy Baldwin fifth. Tom Bolus in sixth. Doug Hevron seventh. Jamie Tomeno eighth. Mike McLaughlin is now ninth. And the 24, Jimmy Spencer 10th. 66, Kenny Troyer. 21 of Jeff Fuller 11th and 12th. The 4 of George Brunholzel rides in 13th. We've got the 40, Ken Woolley, I've got unofficially 14th. Eddie Flemke, Tony Jankowiak 15th and 16th. Mike Stefanik 17th, Wayne Edwards 18th, Mike Iwanitsko 19th, Wayne Anderson 20th. And Rich, if I'm not mistaken, we've got 20 cars still in the lead lap with just 22 laps to go. Meanwhile, Ricciero has closed right in on the rear bumper of Brian Ross. Ross is about 0.3 of a second slower than he was earlier today. He is running 18.7s, now gets it back to 18.5. Brian Ross with 21 to go. Mike McLaughlin has pulled away from Jimmy Spencer. McLaughlin and Spencer, along with Jeff Fuller, all making pit stops, now trying to get back up into the thick of things. They got a big break with that last caution flag, but right now still not in a position to challenge for one of the top 5 spots. Top 5 right now, Brian Ross, Reggie Ruggiero, Tony Hirschman to the outside of Ruggiero, George Kent in 4th, Tommy Baldwin runs 5th. That is the top 5 with 20 laps to go. Hirschman looks high, looks low, works over the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero. Once again, 18.3 for Brian Ross. He's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Ruggiero. Ruggiero just trying to hang on out there for the number 2 spot, as he's got a right rear tire definitely giving him some problems. 18 laps to go. In 6th, it is Doug Hevron. Tom Bolus runs 7th, Jamie Tomato 8th. 9th and 10th are Mike McLaughlin and Jimmy Spencer. 82 down, 82-3 down as they complete the next lap. Going into the first turn, 18.4 that last lap, and Brian now leads by about 0.7 of a second. So it's 83 laps completed, 17 to go, and Brian Ross has led this race twice, giving up the advantage momentarily to Reggie Ruggiero and then taking it back. Another lap of 18.34 for Brian Ross, the race leader. Reggie Ruggiero trying to hold off Tony Hirschman. The front 5, really nobody making any moves at all. The front 10, the same thing. The only race going on right now seems to be Doug Hevron trying to work over Tommy Baldwin. Steve Park has been in and out of the pits all day long. He is out again. Park not a factor in this one at all. Your leader, Brian Ross, coming back up to put another lap on the Southern Tier runner, Tim Connolly in the 42. 18.4 the last lap, a 3/4 of a second lead for Brian Ross in the number 69. He, right for the moment, has a lap car between himself and runner-up Reggie Ruggiero, but we got a yellow flag. It is Jimmy Spencer in turn 3. Jimmy Spencer running 10th, brings out the yellow flag, and now we got a bunch of cars coming together over there. Eddie Flemke is one of them. Eddie Flemke involved. Flemke was running in the top. Tomato trying to make a move, as is McLaughlin. But the leaders now staying bunched right together. 19-2. Brian Ross definitely in trouble. Ross definitely having problems. Tires on the number 69. A problem for that car right now. Ross leading Reggie Ruggiero, Tony Hirschman, George Kent, and Tom Baldwin in that order. Down into the first corner, 18-9. He's picking up the pace now. 10 laps to go. Brian probably had rock-hard tires in there. Bentley Warren and Tony Hirschman, the winners last year in this event. Hirschman running 3rd right now. Yellow flag is out. Yellow flag with 10 to go. I believe it came out for Lee Sherwood. Sherwood went out quickly to visit the outside wall between 1 and 2. I think that's what brought out the yellow flag. I know. But it's Brian Ross still in front. Reggie Ruggiero 2nd. Tony Hirschman 3rd. George Kent 4th. Tommy Baldwin 5th. Doug Hevron 6th, Tom Boulder 7th. They are all on the original tires they started the race with. Mike McLaughlin is 8th, Jamie Tomato 9th, Jeff Fuller 10th, George Brunholzl 11th, and Tony Jankowiak 12th. The pace car is in. Reggie jumps on it. Green flag in turn 3. Reggie trying to keep up, but Brian Ross trying to get away from him. Here's Mike McLaughlin. Look at Magic Shoes. He gets low under Bullis going down into the corner. They do a fine job of staying side by side. Ken Woolley back out of the pits in the number 40. McLaughlin gets by Bullis, moves up another notch to 7th now. Working on the one of Doug Hevron, but time is running out. Hirschman looks over the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero. Brian Ross, 18-9 that lap. Your leaders pulling away from George Kent and Tommy Baldwin. Kent and Baldwin run 4th and 5th. Out in front, Brian Ross, the 69-44, Reggie Ruggiero. 87 of Tony Hirschman. Baldwin now trying to get underneath George Kent. He wants to make a run. McLaughlin almost banged the inside hub rail. Reggie Ruggiero works over Brian Ross. 18-8 the last lap for Ross. Tommy Baldwin on the inside of George Kent going for 4th. What a tremendous battle here at the end of the NASCAR Modified Feature event. Out in front it is Brian Ross, Reggie Ruggiero, and Tony Hirschman. Then a little bit of a gap between Tom Baldwin, George Kent, Doug Hevron, and Mike McLaughlin. 3 and 4 cars running in bunches now. Hirschman looks to the outside of Ruggiero. Brian Ross runs an 18-5, 2 laps in a row, 5 laps to go. Hirschman now going for Brook in the high groove, trying to defend his Evans Memorial 200 title. He is running in 3rd. He's won 5 in a row at Shangri-La. Right now running 3rd, Reggie Ruggiero and Brian Ross ahead of him. Ross, the race leader with 4 to go, turns in at 18-4. Ruggiero, who has led this race a couple of times, right now back in 2nd. Hirschman runs 3rd. Tommy Baldwin has closed in on him. Baldwin in the number 7 with 3 laps to go. Brian Ross out in front, another lap of 18-4. Ross, the race leader. Jeff Fuller now trying to move up, but almost got out of shape down here at turn number 1. Brian Ross out in front, 3 laps to go. Yellow flag is out. Down the back straight, a spin. Ken Troyer in the 66. Ken Troyer bringing out the yellow flag, a simple spin, I guess. He fires it up the car the last couple of laps. Right now, he is right behind the leaders. He just got by George Kent to move up to 4th. Baldwin wants to make a good run at it. He won his first tour race down at Martinsville. 2 laps to go. Brian Ross, the leader. Reggie Ruggiero, 2nd. In 3rd, it is Tony Hirschman. 4th is Tom Baldwin. The top 5 rounded out by George Kent. Green flag way back down the back straightaway. Green flag is out. Brian Ross, the race leader, took off. Green came out. Reggie Ruggiero rides in 2nd. They pull ahead quickly from Tony Hirschman and Tom Baldwin. Here's Ruggiero. He's got a wheel underneath. Down the back straightaway. Brian Ross trying to hang on. Dices him down into the 3rd turn, and Ruggiero falls back into 2nd. White flag is out. Brian Ross trying to win the Richie Evans Memorial 100-lap feature event. He's got the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero nailed to his rear bumper. Ruggiero made a bid, couldn't do it. Coming down off the 3rd turn, into the 4th, down the front straight. Checkered flag, here's Ruggiero down low. The win goes to Ross. Ruggiero is 2nd, Hirschman 3rd, Baldwin 4th, Kent 5th, Hevron 6th. McLaughlin 7th, Bullis was 8th. 9th and 10th were Jeff Fuller and Jimmy Tomato. What a run for Brian Ross. He had the speed, he had the handling. It looked like he lost some tires toward the end of that way, but the 2-time defending Oswego Speedway Modified champion comes away with the win in the Richie Evans Memorial 100-lap feature event. Richie Evans back in 1985 in one of the greatest races that I have ever seen here at the Oswego Speedway. Evans and Ross ran side by side for 75 laps. He also finished 2nd to Brett Bodine in 1984. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 100-lap NASCAR Modified Feature Event, Brian Ross. We'll be bringing Brian Ross by in just a minute in the Oswego Speedway pace car. Give you a chance to get a good look at the happy winner. Brian Ross doing an absolutely tremendous job, led the race twice. Race leaders were Jimmy Spencer, then Ross, then Reggie Ruggiero, and then Ross again. Ross certainly led the most laps today, did the hardest running as well. Brian started the race in 5th, fell to 7th, and looked like he was fading rapidly, and then moved on quickly up into the leaders and on out in front, passing Reggie Ruggiero and Jimmy Spencer the hard way on the outside. Here he is, the modified feature winner, Brian Ross. Brian getting the win. He's got the DeWitt concrete hat on. A longtime friend of Richie Evans, longtime competitor. As we say, those two drivers put on just one tremendous performance back in 1985. A race that saw them start in the front of the field, and they ran 75 laps side by side. Never touched, never banged. It was one of the cleanest races as well. And when it was all over, Evans got the win by about a half a car length. Brian Ross finished in 2nd. And then in 86 and 87, Brian Ross picked up feature wins here and became the Oswego Speedway Modified Track Champion. Right now, getting the ride around in the pace car, he'll come back down here to the front straight. Bill Foley will interview the modified feature winner. We'll give you the rundowns. Eddie Bellinger to the finish line, please. Eddie Bellinger to the finish line. Bill Foley will be talking to race winner Brian Ross, who has got a leg up on a 4-race season for the modified track title, trying to make it 3 in a row here at the Oswego Speedway. Bill Foley is right there. The photos be taken. Let's go down to Bill.
Brian Ross getting kisses from everybody. Brian, this is one you wanted to win, isn't it? Yeah, you know, somebody up in the crowd yelled to me, think about Richie and do this one for Richie. And that's what I kept thinking about the whole race. This was in his honor, and let's dedicate this one to the man that made this all possible. Brian, you're usually calm and collective. You're shaking right now. Man, I'm excited. It's been a tough start to the season. We've been coming better every week, and you know, I figured when we come to Oswego, they got to beat us, you know, and we did all right here today. We didn't qualify real good, but, you know, I didn't have a time trial set up in the car. We had a race set up, and we got a good break on the draw, and car performed good all day. The guys really had it prepared well to come here, and, you know, what more can I say? They made my job easy. Well, photographers are hollering at me. Go to work. Congratulations. Okay. Thanks for coming out, all the Oswego fans. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Ross, a mighty happy, emotional Brian Ross. All sorts of awards coming his way in victory lane, and they'll be moving in here on the Gatorade Championship, the Richie Evans plaque being handed to Brian. He's wanted this one, a lot of emotions, really swelled up. I'll tell you, a guy who's calm, cool, and collective. Right now, he's shaking like it's the first win he's ever had.